My name began with a high school student named Yoonji Woo spending her time alone in her room. She was doing exercises for a while before she finally got ready to go to school. She got out of her apartment building and headed to school. A man saw her and followed her right away. He called her and asked her if she had heard anything from her father, but she ignored him and kept walking away. That man was mad because of that. He yelled at her and told her to ask her father to just turn himself in to the police. Jiwoo still pretended not to see him there. She kept ignoring him and walking away. Apparently, life was hard for Jiwoo at school. She got often bullied by her schoolmates. There was a lot of bad stuff written on her desk, and she was ostracized by her schoolmates. When she arrived at school, a gang of girls approached her and called her a daughter of a gangster and a drug addict. Jiwoo didn't do anything about the bullying that happened to her. She just ignored those bullies as if they were not there. After class, Jiwoo's homeroom teacher called Jiwoo to the staff room. She asked Jiwoo to just move to another school because she received many complaints from other students' parents. Those parents didn't want their children to attend the same school that a drug addict's daughter like Jiwoo attended because they were afraid that Jiwoo would become a bad influence for their children. When Jiwoo returned to her classroom, she found a bag of flour on her desk. The group of bullies laughed at her and said that it was a bag of drug. This time, Jiwoo couldn't tolerate them anymore. She angrily approached them and threw the bag of flour at one of them. Those bullies were angry because of that. They immediately attacked Jiwoo, but Jiwoo attacked them back. They and Jiwoo then got into a fight. Even though Jiwoo was alone, she managed to defeat all of them easily because she often did exercises. But unfortunately, it only worsened the situation. People began to accuse her of starting the fight and frame her as a problematic gangster. Jiwoo then left the classroom and ran into her homeroom teacher. She removed her namadak and told her homeroom teacher that she would leave that school. While she was leaving that place, she saw the man who followed her earlier and attacked his car. Turned out, that man was a police officer. He had been following Jiwoo for a month. He kept asking Jiwoo about where her father was. When Jiwoo attacked his car, that man and his co-worker got out of the car and chased her right away. Jiwoo ran as fast as she could to run away from them. After a while, Jiwoo finally managed to escape from them. She sat on the riverbank and stared at the river in silence. She browsed through her phone gallery and looked at the pictures of her father. Apparently, she also had no idea about where her father was. In the evening, Jiwoo finally returned to her apartment. While she was having a dinner, she suddenly received a call from someone. Turned out, her father was the one who called her. It had been a month since he called Jiwoo. That day, he called Jiwoo to say happy birthday to her. Jiwoo cried and asked him about where he had been all this time. She began to get emotional as she told him about her current life. She said that she had been followed by the police officers and she was bullied at school. Jiwoo's father, Yoon Dong-hoon, felt guilty when he heard that. He couldn't do anything to cheer her daughter up. After he hanged up the call, he returned to the car and activated his phone that he had deactivated for a month. When he turned on his phone, he received and read the text messages that Jiwoo had sent him. In those text messages, Jiwoo asked him about where he was and told him about how miserable her life was without him. After Dong-hoon read those text messages, he finally decided to drive the car by himself and visit his daughter. When he arrived at Jiwoo's apartment building, he saw the police officers who had been following Jiwoo for a month. Dong-hoon walked toward them and attacked them right away. He even broke the car window and punched the police officer who sat in the car. After that, he headed to Jiwoo's room and tried to open the door. Jiwoo woke up from her sleep when she heard someone trying to enter that place. She realized that it was her father and walked toward the door to open the door for him. While Dong-hoon was still trying to open the door, a mysterious man in black clothes suddenly showed up in that place and walked toward him. Dong-hoon noticed that that man was carrying a gun. He immediately took out his knife and prepared himself to attack him. He also locked the door again to protect her daughter. Jiwoo tried to open the door, but she failed to do that. She was confused because of that. She peeked through the peephole to see what happened outside. Suddenly, a gunshot was heard from the outside. Turned out, Dong-hoon got shot by that mysterious man. Even though he was dying, he was still trying to hold the door handle so that Ji-woo wouldn't get out of the room. Ji-woo panicked when she heard another gunshot. She kept trying to open the door as she realized that her father was in danger. After a while, that mysterious man finally left the dying Dong-hoon in that place. Dong-hoon apologized to Ji-woo because he had made her life miserable. After that, Ji-woo didn't hear anything from her father anymore. The panicked Ji-woo tried her best to open the door, and she finally managed to do it. She was horrified when she saw her father lying unconscious on the floor. She cried and screamed for help as she was hugging the dead body of her father. The next day, Dong-hoon's funeral was being held. Ji-woo saw a group of men in black suits attending her father's funeral and paying their last respects to her father. Ji-woo asked one of those men if he was her father's friend. She thought that that man was the one who ordered her father to beat people up and kill them. That man didn't answer her question and shortly replied that Dong-hoon was a good person. After saying that, he and his men left that place. A few days later, Ji-woo went to the police station and asked a police officer there to capture the man who had killed her father. That police officer was called Detective Jo Jin-se. Jin-se informed her that they had stopped investigating her father's murder case because there was no evidence and witness. Ji-woo was furious when she heard that. She showed Jin-se the picture of the CCTV footage that took place in the night when her father got murdered. But Jin-se ignored that picture and made it clear for her that they couldn't continue to investigate Dong-hoon's murder case. Ji-woo refused to give in. In the evening, she went to the house of the man who attended her father's funeral another day. That man was called Choi Moo-jin. Through the security camera, he saw Ji-woo standing in front of his house while carrying a box. He ordered his men to allow Ji-woo to come inside. Ji-woo entered the place and saw some people cooking drug there. She continued to walk to Moo-jin's room and gave the box that she carried to Moo-jin. Turned out, that box contained the urn of her father. She asked Moo-jin to help her to find the man who had murdered her father. She said that she wanted to kill that man. Moo-jin calmly approached her and gave a knife to her. He asked her to see him as her father's murderer and told her to stab him with that knife. Ji-woo was scared when she heard that. She didn't know about what to do. Moo-jin then slapped her face and told her to leave that place soon. Before Ji-woo left that place, she noticed that there was a picture of Moo-jin and Dong-hoon on Moo-jin's desk. It seemed that Moo-jin and Dong-hoon were best friends. Ji-woo returned to her apartment and spent her time alone there. Suddenly, she heard someone ring her doorbell. Ji-woo was surprised when she heard that. She carefully walked toward the door and looked at the peephole. She saw a man in a black hoodie staring into the peephole as well. After a while, that man finally left that place. Ji-woo was scared when she saw him there. She wondered if that man was the one who had killed her father. But suddenly, she decided to grab a bat, get out of her apartment room, and chase that man. Even though it was raining, she kept chasing that man, but that man managed to run away from that place with his car. Ji-woo continued to investigate her father's murder case by herself. She put up the posters about the man who killed her father. In those posters, she promised that she would give 5 million won to anyone who found the man who was seen in the CCTV footage. A car stopped in front of a convenience store. Turned out, Moo-jin was the one who wrote it. He saw the poster that was displayed in front of that store and checked it. He kept that poster and ordered his subordinate to continue driving. At home, Ji-woo received a call from someone. That person told her that he knew the man in the poster. He asked Ji-woo to bring the 5 million won to him and promised her that he would tell her about the identity of that man. Ji-woo agreed and brought bundles of cash to the meeting place. She also brought a knife to protect herself because she was afraid that something bad would happen to her. She put on her black hoodie and black mask. After a while, she finally saw the gang of men who had been waiting for her in that place. One of those men told her to give the money first. Not long after that, more men came to that place and surrounded Ji-woo. They began to attack Ji-woo and steal the money. Ji-woo tried to attack them back, but she failed to do that because she was outnumbered by them. Those men then beat her up until she lost her consciousness. When Ji-woo woke up from her faint, she found herself being tied up in a small, narrow, and dark room. Turned out she was being held captive inside a car trunk. She reached the knife that she carried and tried to use it to untie herself. Suddenly, she heard a car crashed into the car that those men were driving. Not long after that, someone opened the car trunk. Turned out that person was Mu Jin. Jiwoo was surprised when she saw him there. Mu Jin helped her to free herself. After that, Mu Jin and Jiwoo went to the riverbank and had a conversation there. Mu Jin advised Jiwoo not to be reckless next time. Jiwoo was mad when she heard that. She said that she couldn't just stay quiet and not do anything while her father's murderer was still roaming the streets freely out there. Mu Jin asked Jiwoo if she really wanted to take revenge for the death of her father. Jiwoo immediately said yes. She said that she would do anything to take revenge on whoever was responsible for her father's death. Mu Jin then took Jiwoo to a place. When Jiwoo arrived in that place, she saw many people practicing martial arts there. Mu Jin told her that she would start living in that place since that day. He also asked her to join others to do physical exercises. Jiwoo understood about the reason why Mu Jin took her to that place. In order to take revenge for the death of her father, she needed to improve her stamina and physical strength, and practicing martial arts could help her with it. A man then took Jiwoo to her room. After that man left, Jiwoo began to set up her room and put her father's urn in that place. She took care of her father's urn carefully because it was the only precious thing that she had right now. The next day, Jiwoo began to do physical exercises. Unfortunately, life was also hard for her in that place. She was often mocked by other people there because she was the only woman in that place. Those men asked her to wash their dirty clothes. One of those men even harassed her, but Jiwoo attacked him back. Fortunately, a man stepped in and broke up their fight. In the evening, Jiwoo was still doing exercises even though she was the only one left in that place. Suddenly, Mu Jin came to that place and interrupted him. He told Jiwoo that she would never win if she kept thinking of winning. He reminded her that her objective was to take revenge for the death of her father, so it was important for her to focus on killing her enemy. Mu Jin suggested her to target her enemy's temples, chin, epigastrium, and vital organs. He then took off his coat and asked Jiwoo to attack him. Jiwoo did what he asked him. She and Mu Jin then practiced fighting. At first, Jiwoo was struggling to attack Mu Jin, but after a while, she managed to focus and attack Mu Jin back. Every day, Jiwoo tried her best to do exercises. Each time she did exercises, she always imagined that the man who had murdered her father was standing in front of her, and she tried her best to attack that man. A few weeks had finally passed. Jiwoo planned to join an extreme fighting competition. In that competition, all participants would attack each other until there was the last man standing. Everyone tried their best in that competition. Despite that, Jiwoo managed to attack her opponent's back. After a while, all participants finally got defeated, and there was only a man survived. That man was called Du Gang Jae, but turned out he was not the only participant who survived. He found out that Jiwoo still survived as well. Jiwoo stood up and prepared herself for another fight. Gang Jae and Jiwoo then got into a fight. They were struggling to defeat each other because they were both strong. Gang Jae tried to attack Jiwoo by strangling her neck with a chain, but Jiwoo managed to free herself. Jiwoo then attacked Gang Jae by punching him hard in the face. Gang Jae collapsed instantly because of that. Mu Jin entered the battle arena and lifted Jiwoo's hand, announcing that Jiwoo was the winner. Later, Gang Jae woke up from his faint and found himself in the changing room. A man showed him the video of him fighting earlier and mocked him because he got defeated by a woman. Gang Jae was offended because of that. He felt humiliated because he got defeated by a person whom he thought was weaker than him. He then asked his friend to grab a snack. Turned out, what he meant by a snack was Jiwoo. He confessed that he had secretly put drug into Jiwoo's drink. His friend smiled as he knew about what Gang Jae was talking about. In her room, after Jiwoo finished taking a shower, she drank water from her water bottle. Not long after that, she began to slowly lose her consciousness. It seemed that the drug that Gang Jae had put into her drink had begun to kick in. Jiwoo finally fell on the bed and fell asleep. Not long after that, Jiwoo woke up from her sleep and saw Gang Jae and his friend in her room. She was surprised and afraid when she saw them there. Gang Jae and his friend then began to sexually harass her. She tried to attack Gang Jae and his friend back, but she was too weak to do it. It seemed that the drug that Gang Jae put into her drink had a very strong effect on her. Gang Jae and his friend kept sexually harassing her, and Jiwoo tried her best to avoid them. But unfortunately, while Jiwoo was trying to run away from them, she unfortunately dropped her father's urn. She took a piece of the broken vase and attacked Gang Jae's friend with it. While that man writhed in pain, Jiwoo used that moment to get out of her room and run away from him. Gang Jae chased her and tried to attack her with a hammer, but Jiwoo managed to attack him first by stabbing him in the stomach with the piece of broken vase that she carried. Suddenly, Moojin's subordinate came to that place and stopped Gang Jae. He took Gang Jae to Moojin's room and informed Moojin about what he had done to Jiwoo. Even though Gang Jae was one of the best fighters that Moojin had, Moojin would still punish Gang Jae each time he made a mistake. Moojin took out his sword and asked Gang Jae to choose between his face, hand, or leg. Gang Jae understood about what Moojin was talking about. He knew that Moojin asked him to choose a part of his body that he would hurt with his sword. He then kneeled down and begged Moojin to forgive him, but Moojin refused to change his mind. Moojin finally said that he would choose the part of Gang Jae's body if Gang Jae couldn't choose by himself. Before Gang Jae had the chance to do anything about it, Moojin approached him and slashed his face with his sword. Gang Jae screamed in pain because of that. Instead of feeling guilty, he laughed and looked angry. One evening, Jiwoo went to a restaurant. When she arrived in that place, she saw Moojin already waiting for her there. Moojin told her that since that day, she wouldn't use her old name Yoon Jiwoo anymore. He said that her new name would be Oh Hae-jin. He also gave a gun to Jiwoo or Hae-jin. He claimed that that gun belonged to the man who had murdered her father. He also said that Dong-hoon's murderer was a police officer. He remembered that he found the gun in the night when the murder took place. Since that evening, Hae-jin had never returned to the training center anymore. She decided to focus on preparing herself for something that was more important. 3 years had finally passed. Hae-jin had joined the police force and become a police officer now. She was working at the Criminal Investigation Department. One night, Hae-jin went to a place and spied on that place. She suspected that a criminal was living in that place. She had been targeting that criminal for a while. After she made sure that the situation in that place was safe enough, she went to the apartment building and searched that place. Inside the apartment building, the criminal whom Hae-jin was looking for was doing a business transaction with a man. It appeared that that man was selling some drugs to his customer. Hae-jin went to a room and found a woman lying weak on the bed there. That woman almost lost her consciousness because she was heavily drunk. Fortunately, Hae-jin managed to come to that place on time and save her. Suddenly, Hae-jin heard some people talked in another room. She peeked through a hole in the wall and found out that the criminal whom she was looking for was in that room. She then broke the wall and attacked her target, but her target attacked her back. Hae-jin and that man then got into a fight. But after a while, Hae-jin managed to defeat that man. While Hae-jin was about to leave that place with her target, another man suddenly stopped her and told her that that man was also his target. Turned out, that man was a police officer who was working undercover. That man was called John Pil-do. At Incheon Metropolitan Police Station, Pil-do was working at the narcotics department. He revealed that their target was a drug dealer, and he and his team had been targeting him for 6 months. He asked Hae-jin to give that man to him, but Hae-jin refused to do it. Hae-jin and Pil-do then got into an argument. Each of them insisted on taking their target to their own department. Suddenly, Hae-jin received a call from her superior. Her superior told her to give their target to Pil-do. Hae-jin couldn't do anything when she heard that, but to allow Pil-do to take their target with him. In another place, Moojin was visiting a place where a gang war broke out. Amidst the chaos, he calmly approached a man and confronted him. That man was called CEO Bae. CEO Bae was Moojin's business partner, but he betrayed him. He begged Mu-jin to have mercy on him, but Mu-jin said that he couldn't tolerate his mistake and would punish him for that. Mu-jin's men then forced CEO Bei to get in the car. CEO Bei tried to run away from that place, but a man prevented him from doing that. After they locked CEO Bei in that car, they filled in the car with car exhaust gas that he died of asphyxiation. With that being done, Mu-jin finally managed to teach that man a lesson for betraying him. Hai-jin went to the police station and visited the narcotics department. Apparently, she had left the criminal investigation department and was working at the narcotics department since that day. When she arrived in that place, she saw a man there. She was surprised when she saw that man. She believed that she had seen him before. She remembered that that man was the one who came to her apartment building and looked at the peephole a few days after her father got murdered. That man was named Che Ji-ho. He was the leader of Incheon Metropolitan Police Station's narcotics department. It meant that he would be Hai-jin's superior since that day. In the evening after work, Hai-jin went to the riverbank and met with Mu-jin there. Hai-jin told Mu-jin that she was working at the narcotics department now. She suspected that the police officer who had murdered her father was working at that department too. At the police station, Pil-do was interrogating the man whom he captured another day. That man was named Park Chang-gu. Pil-do asked Chang-gu about the man whom Chang-gu was working for, but Chang-gu refused to answer his question. Instead, Chang-gu gave another information to Pil-do. He revealed that there was another type of drug that would be distributed in South Korea. That drug had a black color, a small size, and a round shape. Chang-gu said that Mango had already had the drug. Pil-do sighed when he heard that. He knew who Mango was since he had met with him for several times. He then left the interrogation room and headed to another room. When he was about to enter that room, he ran into Hai-jin. He didn't know that Hai-jin was working at the same department as him, which was the narcotics department. He was surprised when he found out that Hai-jin would become his new partner. He then went to Ji-ho's room and protested to him about this decision. He said that he and Hai-jin would never be compatible as partners. But Ji-ho said that Hai-jin would work at their department and Pil-do needed to accept his decision no matter what happened. On her first day working at the narcotics department, Hai-jin was tasked to go with Pil-do to take Mango to the police station and interrogate him about the new type of drug that was found in South Korean market afterward. In the car, Pil-do asked Hai-jin to get Mango and said that they would take him to the police station together after that. Hai-jin did what he asked right away. She went inside the building and saw a man who guarded that place. She asked that man about where Mango was, but that man refused to answer her question. Instead, that man attacked Hai-jin, but Hai-jin attacked him back. After a while, Hai-jin finally managed to defeat him. Not long after that, more men came to that place. They began to attack Hai-jin, but Hai-jin managed to defeat all of them. At the parking space, Pil-do was still waiting for his partner to return to the car. He felt suspicious because Hai-jin hadn't showed up yet. He finally decided to go inside the building to check on Hai-jin. He was surprised when he saw many people lying unconscious on the ground. He then went to a room and saw Hai-jin capturing Mango there. Pil-do approached them and asked Mango about the new type of drug that he had. He asked him about where he kept that drug. Mango told him that he had no idea about the drug he was talking about. Suddenly, Hai-jin noticed that the bartender acted strangely. She suspected that that bartender was trying to hide something by using his body. Hai-jin then approached him and searched the bottle behind him. She poured the content of the bottle into the counter and found many small, round, and black things there. Those things were the new type of drug that Pil-do was talking about. Since Mango was caught having that drug, he was finally being taken to the police station. Hai-jin and Pil-do also returned to their car and headed to the police station to interrogate Mango. In the interrogation room, Pil-do asked Mango about the person who gave the drug to him. Mango told him that he received it from a cruel man. A man who was wearing a furry jacket that had wings on the back of it was visiting a bar. He showed the drug that he produced to people in that bar. That drug had a black color, a small size, and a round shape. That man promised that the drug that he produced wouldn't leave any traces inside their bodies. Turned out, that man was Gang J. There was a scar on his face. In the car, Hai-jin called Mu-jin and informed him that the police had found a new type of drug in the market, but she admitted that they still had no idea about the person who produced the drug. At a fancy restaurant, Mu-jin's subordinate met with a drug dealer from Japan. That Japanese drug dealer was called Yamamoto. It was revealed that Mu-jin had been producing an illegal drug that he called Diamond. Diamond was a liquid and had a transparent color. Yamamoto carefully checked the drug and finally agreed to buy it. Turned out, Mu-jin had been manufacturing his drug in a large ship in the ocean. At the narcotics department, Hai-jin's superior suddenly ordered Hai-jin and her team to get ready because they were going to raid the biggest drug dealer in South Korea soon. Hai-jin still had no idea about the drug dealer whom they would raid, but she immediately joined her team to prepare themselves. Before Hai-jin and her team headed to their target location, they gathered in a room to listen to the instructions first. Ji-ho ordered them to give their phones away. After that, he began to give instructions to them. It was revealed that their next target would be Mu-jin, the biggest drug dealer in South Korea who had been targeted by the police. Hai-jin was surprised when she found out about that. She stared blankly at the pictures that were displayed in front of her. She couldn't believe that she needed to capture Mu-jin, the person who had saved her life. In the car, while Hai-jin and her team were heading to Mu-jin's location, Hai-jin tried to get her phone to tell Mu-jin about the raid. But she finally changed her mind because she was afraid that she would get caught. After that, Hai-jin and her team got on the boat and headed to the large ship where Mu-jin manufactured his drug. Ji-ho and his coworkers decided to conduct a raid on Mu-jin's ship that night because they received information that Mu-jin would be there. After a while, Hai-jin and her team managed to reach Mu-jin's ship. They carefully went to different directions and began to raid that ship. They managed to find and defeat everyone in that place one by one. Hai-jin also attacked the crew of the ship so that nobody would suspect her. In another place, Ji-ho was watching the situation in the ship through the cameras that were planted on some police officers' clothes. With those cameras, it was easy for Ji-ho to watch that place and give instructions to his subordinates. In a room, Hai-jin saw Mu-jin supervising the workers in a room below her room. Pil-du saw her looking at Mu-jin in another place and rushed to that place. Hai-jin was worried when she heard that. She needed to find a way to save Mu-jin soon. While Pil-du was trying to capture Mu-jin, a gunshot was suddenly heard and a power blackout suddenly happened in that place. Because of that, Mu-jin managed to destroy some evidence by burning down the chemicals and the equipment that he used to cook his drug. Not long after that, Hai-jin arrived in that room. Before Mu-jin left that place, he looked at Hai-jin. He soon found out that the situation outside had been chaotic, and he immediately jumped into the ocean. After Mu-jin ran away from that place, the police officers were busy investigating the evidence that they could still find there. Ji-ho finally went to the ship and found a gunshot mark and a gun there. Hai-jin was there when Ji-ho found the gun. She carefully observed the way Ji-ho reacted when he saw the gun. Apparently, it was the gun that was used by Dong-hoon's murderer to kill Dong-hoon. Hai-jin was the one who put the gun there so that she could see Ji-ho's reaction when he saw that gun. Mu-jin finally managed to return home safely. Despite that, he was furious because the police had successfully raided his ship. Fortunately, he still managed to run away from the police. Mu-jin's right-hand man, Jung Tae-ju, asked him about the reason why Hai-jin didn't inform them about the raid. It seemed that Tae-ju was trying to provoke Mu-jin into suspecting Hai-jin. At the police station, Ji-ho was mad because he failed to capture Mu-jin. He then checked the guns that all his subordinates carried while conducting the raid, including Hai-jin's gun. He found out that all bullets inside Hai-jin's gun were still there. Turned out, Hai-jin was the one who fired the gun to save Mu-jin, but the gun that she used was the gun that belonged to her father's murderer and not her own gun. Pil-du was also mad about their failed raid. He then asked Hai-jin to see a chart with him. Hai-jin looked at the pictures in that chart and noticed that it ended at Mu-jin's picture. She also noticed that there was a picture of her father there. Pil-do told her that the man in that picture was named Dong-hoon, Mu-jin's close friend who got murdered 5 years ago. Pil-do admitted that the police still had no idea about the person who was responsible for Dong-hoon's death. After work, Hai-jin and her coworkers had a dinner together at a small restaurant. During the dinner, they discussed about their failure to capture Mu-jin. Pil-do suggested that they conducted another raid on Mu-jin another time. Suddenly, Hai-jin received a call from someone. She excused herself and answered the call. Turned out, Mu-jin was the one who called her. Hai-jin apologized to him because she couldn't inform him that there would be a raid. She explained that it happened so suddenly that she didn't have the chance to inform him about it. She also told Mu-jin that there was a security camera that was installed by the police at the hotel where he stayed. She said that the police had been watching him through that security camera all this time. Mu-jin went to the location of the security camera that Hai-jin was talking about and found the security camera there. He realized that there was a mole in his organization because there was no way that the police could find out about where he stayed at and install a security camera there to watch him. Hai-jin also told Mu-jin that she was the one who fired the gun to save Mu-jin by distracting the attentions of the police officers. She also said that she left the gun in that ship so that Ji-ho could find it. One evening, Hai-jin saw Ji-ho leaving the police station by himself. She immediately left the police station too and secretly followed Ji-ho. After a while, Ji-ho finally arrived at a forensic laboratory. He met with the doctor there. Turned out, he came to that place to ask the doctor to investigate the gun that he found in Mu-jin's ship. The doctor said that he and his team could probably find something from the gun's serial number. Meanwhile, Gang Jae and his gang were visiting Mu-jin's training center where he used to practice back then. When they arrived in that place, they immediately attacked everyone whom they saw in that place. They managed to attack them easily because they used dangerous weapons, and those poor people were not ready for a sudden attack. After a while, Tae-ju managed to hold a Gang Jae's man hostage. He tried to stop Gang Jae by threatening that he would kill that man if Gang Jae didn't stop what he was doing. Gang Jae ignored him and ordered his men to attack him instead. Tae-ju tried to attack them back, but he failed to do that. Gang Jae then approached him and asked him to choose between his face, hand, or leg. He remembered that Mu-jin asked him the same question back then, and now it was his turn to propose the question. Before Tae-ju had the chance to say anything, Gang Jae suddenly slashed his hand with his sword. Gang Jae was happy because he finally managed to take revenge on Mu-jin and his men for ruining his face, even though he didn't take it on Mu-jin directly. In another place, Hai-jin received a call from someone. She was surprised when she heard that a horrible incident had happened at Mu-jin's training center. She then rushed to the training center to see the situation there. When she arrived in that place, she saw many ambulances there. She also saw Tae-ju and approached him, but Tae-ju pretended that he didn't know her. Hai-jin then went inside the training center building and saw a large-sized writing on the floor. That writing stated that the writer had returned. Hai-jin and her team investigated that place and found the black round drug there. They assumed that the person who attacked that place was the same person who produced that black round drug. The next day, Hai-jin and Pil-do continued to investigate the horrible incident that happened at Mu-jin's training center. They investigated the security cameras and interrogated the owners of the stores nearby. They asked those shop owners if they found anything suspicious in the night when the horrible murder took place. But unfortunately, Hai-jin and Pil-do didn't find any important information from their investigation. After that, they decided to part ways. Pil-do said that there was something urgent that he needed to take care of, and Hai-jin needed to go to another place. At a temple, a funeral was being held. Turned out, it was the funeral for people who were massacred by Gang Jae and his gang at Mu-jin's training center last night. Mu-jin and his men attended the funeral to pay their last respects to the victims. Hai-jin, who was wearing a black jacket and helmet, also went to that temple. She wanted to attend the funeral, but she suddenly changed her mind and decided to leave that place. While she was leaving that place, she ran into Ji-ho and Pil-do. Pildu looked at her and thought that she looked familiar to him, but he soon ignored her and continued to head to the temple. While Ji-ho and Pildu were heading to the temple, Tae-ju saw them and stopped him right away. Ji-ho told him that they just wanted to pay their last respects to the victims. Tae-ju finally agreed to allow Ji-ho to enter the temple, but he said that Pildu needed to stay outside. After Ji-ho finished visiting the temple, he met with Mu-jin. It seemed that Mu-jin was upset about the horrible incident that happened at his training center. Ji-ho teased him and warned him that the police would arrest him soon. Mu-jin arrogantly told him that he would never get arrested. In another place, Gang Jae celebrated his success in destroying Mu-jin's training center and massacring everyone in that place. He seemed happy and satisfied with what he had done. He even planned to attack and kill Mu-jin next. At the police station, a police officer named Nade Su showed Hai-jin, Pildu, and Ji-ho a picture that he found in a dash cam from a car that was parked nearby. Hai-jin was surprised when she found out that it was a picture of Gang Jae. Now she and her team knew that Gang Jae was the person responsible for the horrible incident that happened at Mu-jin's training center last night. Ji-ho then suggested that they used Gang Jae as a bait to capture Mu-jin. He told his team about his plan. He said that the first thing that they needed to do was to release Mango, the drug dealer whom he captured another day. He argued that Gang Jae would use Mango to distribute his drug. He knew that Mu-jin wouldn't just stay quiet when he found out that there was another competitor in the market. So Ji-ho believed that there would be a gang war between Mu-jin's gang and Gang Jae's gang. He suggested that they captured Mu-jin when the gang war broke out because he thought that it would be easy for them to do it when Mu-jin was overwhelmed by the gang war. After the meeting, Hai-jin informed Mu-jin that Mango's release from the prison was only a trap for him. A few days later, Ji-ho finally received important information about Mu-jin. Ji-ho informed his team that it seemed that Mu-jin's organization would disband soon because there was a mole within the organization who had been betraying Mu-jin. Hai-jin was surprised when she heard that. She didn't know that there was a traitor within Mu-jin's organization. She then informed Mu-jin about this. After that, she began to do investigation by herself to find the man who had betrayed Mu-jin. In another place, Tae-ju prepared himself to leave with his car. In the car, he found a piece of paper. After he read the writing on that paper, he drove his car and headed to a place. At the intersection, Ji-ho was standing by himself as if he was waiting for something. Not long after that, Hai-jin showed up in that place. She saw Ji-ho there and watched the situation in that place. She didn't realize that not far from her, there was someone who took a picture of her secretly. After she left that place, a car arrived there. Tae-ju was the one who drove the car. It seemed that he was also the one whom Ji-ho was waiting for in that place. Turned out, Hai-jin hadn't left that place. She saw Tae-ju there and suspected that Tae-ju was the mole within Mu-jin's organization. While she was spying on Tae-ju and Ji-ho, she suddenly ran into Pildu. She was surprised when she saw Pildu there. She tried to run away from that place, but Pildu stopped her right away. Hai-jin and Pildu then got into a fight. Pildu tried to remove Hai-jin's helmet, but Hai-jin tried her best to avoid him and run away from that place. Hai-jin finally jumped onto a moving truck and got off it once she saw her motorcycle. After that, she rode her motorcycle and left that place. While she was riding away, she saw Tae-ju and Ji-ho once again. Not long after that, Tae-ju also left that place with his car. Turned out, Ji-ho purposely set up the meeting between him and Tae-ju in that place to trap Hai-jin. He felt suspicious of the person who was wearing a helmet and a black jacket whom he saw at the temple another day. He suspected that that person was Mu-jin's subordinate who worked at the police force and became a spy for Mu-jin. He somehow suspected that that person was Hai-jin and asked Pildu to keep an eye on Hai-jin because of that. As soon as Hai-jin returned home, she called Mu-jin and told him about the meeting between Ji-ho and Tae-ju that took place at the intersection. She realized that Ji-ho purposely set up the meeting to trap her. She said that Ji-ho had suspected that there was Mu-jin's subordinate who was working at the police force. Later, Tae-ju found out that the piece of paper that he received earlier was fake. He He was worried and mad because of that. He thought that someone was trying to trap him. Turned out, Ji-ho was also the one who sent that paper to him. He did that to frame Tae-ju as the person who had betrayed Mu-jin. At the police station, Ji-ho gave a file that contained Hae-jin's personal information to Pil-do and asked him to investigate Hae-jin. The next day, Hae-jin went to a hospital and visited the forensic laboratory there. She came to that place to ask about the result of the investigation of the gun that Ji-ho took to that place another night. After she found out about the result of the investigation, she headed to the police station. When she arrived in that place, she told Ji-ho that the result of the investigation of the gun was out now. She revealed that the gun belonged to a police officer named Son Jun-soo. She asked Ji-ho about who Jun-soo was. She had also prepared a knife behind her back because she still believed that that gun belonged to Ji-ho, and Ji-ho was the one who had murdered his father. Ji-ho told her that Jun-soo used to be a member of his team, but unfortunately, he died after only working for him for 1 month. Ji-ho said that Mu-jin was the one who killed Jun-soo. Hae-jin kept her knife back when she heard that. She then went to the riverbank and met with Mu-jin there. She asked Mu-jin if it was true that he had murdered a police officer named Jun-soo. Mu-jin told her that it was not true and said that Ji-ho was the one who had tricked him. Hae-jin was getting even more confused when she heard Mu-jin's answer. She had no idea about whether she should believe in Mu-jin or Ji-ho. After Mango got released from the prison, Gang-jae came to see him. Aside from helping Gang-jae to distribute his drug, Mango also worked as an informant for him. Mango told Gang-jae that he once met with a female police officer and showed the picture of her to Gang-jae. Gang-jae was mad when he found out that it was Hae-jin or Ji-woo. That afternoon, Hae-jin went to a place. She had no idea that Pil-do had been following her secretly. She continued to head to her destination and finally arrived at the building where Mango stayed at. Suddenly, Pil-do got inside her car. Hae-jin was surprised when she saw him there. Pil-do confronted her and asked her about what she was doing. Hae-jin said that she wanted to find the person who produced the black drug because she believed that Mango knew something about that person. Not long after that, Mango finally showed up in that place. He got inside his car and left that place. Hae-jin and Pil-do saw him and followed him right away. At the same time, Mu-jin visited his favorite restaurant. Hae-jin and Pil-do were still following Mango and saw him heading to an abandoned warehouse. Pil-do called his coworker at the police station and gave him the address of the abandoned warehouse. After that, Pil-do and Hae-jin sneaked into that abandoned warehouse by climbing the fence. They searched that place and watched Mango parking his car down there. At the restaurant, Mu-jin sensed that there was something strange in that place. He then gave some money to the owner of the restaurant and asked her to buy him a pack of cigarettes so that she wouldn't see what would happen in that place soon. After the owner of the restaurant left that place, Gang-jae's men, who had been spying on Mu-jin, attacked Mu-jin right away. At the abandoned warehouse, a car arrived in that place. Turned out, Gang-jae was the one who drove that car. He approached Mango and gave a bag to him. When Mango got inside his car, Gang-jae suddenly turned around, looked at Hae-jin, pointed his fingers at her, and laughed. Apparently, Gang-jae knew that Hae-jin and Pil-do were in that place. Not long after that, Gang-jae's men came to that place and attacked Hae-jin and Pil-do. Hae-jin and Pil-do were struggling to attack them back because Gang-jae's men outnumbered them and used knives to attack them. After a while, Gang-jae's men finally managed to defeat and capture Hae-jin and Pil-do. They took them to Gang-jae and held them captive. Gang-jae was still mad at Hae-jin because back then, when she still used her old name Ji-woo, she humiliated him in front of many people by beating him up and defeating him. He threatened her, but Hae-jin was not afraid of him or his threat. Gang-jae was mad when he saw that. He then stabbed Hae-jin in the thigh with his knife. Hae-jin writhed in pain because of that. After that, Gang-jae called his men at the restaurant, but Mu-jin was the one who answered the call. Gang-jae was amazed when he found out that Mu-jin had defeated all his men whom he had sent to the restaurant. He then took a picture of Hai-jin and sent it to Mu-jin. Mu-jin rushed to the abandoned warehouse to help Hai-jin as soon as he saw the picture. Gang-jae ordered his men to take Hai-jin and Pil-do to a car and hold them captive there. When Hai-jin and Pil-do were trapped in that car, a machine sound was heard. They panicked and tried their best to uncuff themselves as they realized that the sound came from a car crusher. Gang-jae got inside his car and casually left that place. Hai-jin and Pil-do were still trying to free themselves as the car got slowly destroyed by the car crusher. The process broke the iron where Hai-jin was getting handcuffed to. Hai-jin tried to get out of the car to stop the machine, but she couldn't do that. Suddenly, a car came to that place and crashed into the car crusher. The machine then stopped operating. Turned out, Mu-jin was the one who drove the car. He managed to come to that place on time and save Hai-jin and Pil-do. He got out of the car and left that place before the police arrived. Not long after that, the police officers finally arrived in that place. They helped the wounded Hai-jin and Pil-do and took them to the hospital. Due to the incident, Hai-jin had to have a surgery, while Pil-do only suffered from minor injuries. Pil-do was angry and determined to capture Gang-jae because he had almost killed Hai-jin. The next day, he began to look for Gang-jae. He searched the town and even confronted some gangsters whom he believed knew about Gang-jae's whereabouts. He wanted to take revenge on Gang-jae for what he did to Hai-jin. Because of Gang-jae, Hai-jin was still being hospitalized until this day. At the hospital, Hai-jin had a nightmare. She dreamed of visiting a beach and seeing her father walking toward the sea until he almost drowned. She also dreamed of the night when her father got murdered. She panicked and got frightened by those horrible visions and finally woke up from her sleep. Fortunately, Pil-do was also in that room. He was worried about Hai-jin and helped her to calm down. After Hai-jin was a little calm, Pil-do asked her if she had a personal grudge against Gang-jae. He noticed that when they visited the abandoned warehouse that night, Gang-jae and Hai-jin knew each other and Gang-jae wanted to kill Hai-jin. Pil-do continued to say that he also had a personal grudge. He said that the reason why he joined the police force was because his brother got murdered and he wanted to find his brother's murderer. But unluckily, until this day, he still had no idea about the person who was responsible for his brother's death. Later, Hai-jin was finally released from the hospital. Pil-do gave her a ride and went to a restaurant with her. In that restaurant, they had a lunch with their coworkers to celebrate Hai-jin's recovery. In the evening, Hai-jin received a call from Mu-jin. Hai-jin told Mu-jin that she would hunt and find Gang-jae. The next day, even though Hai-jin had just recovered, she finally decided to return to work. When she arrived in that place, she saw Jin-se, the police officer who took charge of his father's murder case back then. She was surprised when she saw him there. Jin-se approached Hai-jin and recognized her right away. He smiled when he saw Hai-jin's identity card. He remembered that Hai-jin's real name was Ji-woo and not Hai-jin. Hai-jin was worried if Jin-se would reveal her real identity to Ji-ho, but it seemed that Jin-se didn't say anything about Hai-jin's real identity. In another place, Mu-jin's subordinate informed Mu-jin that a police officer named Jin-se met with Ji-ho that day. Mu-jin was surprised when he heard that. It seemed that he knew who Jin-se was. After Jin-se finished having a meeting with Ji-ho, he left the police station building and returned to his car. At the parking space, he saw Hai-jin already waiting for him there. Hai-jin threatened that she would do something bad to him if he revealed her real identity to the police. Jin-se smiled when he heard that. He said that he was not interested in revealing her real identity to the world. In the evening, Jin-se went to the riverbank and met with Mu-jin there. Turned out, Jin-se and Mu-jin knew each other. It was revealed that Jin-se was a drug addict, and he used to help Mu-jin with his criminal cases. In exchange for that, Mu-jin gave him some drugs. While Jin-se and Mu-jin were having a conversation, Mu-jin's subordinate suddenly came to that place and attacked Jin-se. He strangled Jin-se until he lost his breath and threw his body into the sea afterward. Turned out, Mu-jin was the one who ordered his subordinate to do that. He wanted to get rid of anyone who knew about Hai-jin's real identity. One day, Mu-jin received information that Gang Jae was going to travel by ship. He then ordered his men to prepare themselves to go to the airport and stop Gang Jae and his men. It seemed that there would be a war between Gang Jae's gang and Mu-jin's gang soon. One afternoon at the police station, Ji-ho received a call from someone. Turned out, Gang Jae was the one who called him. Gang Jae told Ji-ho that he would help him to capture Mu-jin if he let him go. He also informed him that he would meet with Mu-jin at the airport. A few days later, Ji-ho and his team went to the airport where Gang Jae and Mu-jin were going to have a meeting. When they arrived in that place, they saw Gang Jae already waiting in his car. Not long after that, Mu-jin also arrived in that place. Gang Jae and his gang then approached Mu-jin and his gang. The war between those two gangs then broke out. The police officers who were watching them secretly in that place were still not doing anything. They were still waiting for Ji-ho to give instructions to them. Mu-jin saw Gang Jae walking away from the crowd and chased him right away. After a while, Pil-do and his team finally began to move. They surrounded Mu-jin's gang and Gang Jae's gang who were attacking each other. They managed to defeat and capture those gangsters easily. Not long after that, Hai-jin arrived in that place. She saw Mu-jin and Gang Jae having a fight on the bridge. They were attacking each other by using their knives. Pil-do was looking for them and finally found them on the bridge. After a while, Gang Jae finally managed to stab Mu-jin in the stomach. When he was about to kill Mu-jin, Hai-jin suddenly came to that place and stopped him. She pointed her gun at Gang Jae and told Mu-jin to leave. Mu-jin did what she asked him. But while he was leaving that place, Ji-ho suddenly stopped him. But fortunately, a car suddenly came to that place and stopped Ji-ho from capturing Gang Jae. Turned out, Tae-ju was the one who drove the car. He managed to come to that place on time and save Mu-jin. Because of him, Mu-jin finally managed to run away from that place. Meanwhile, Hai-jin was still pointing her gun at Gang Jae. Gang Jae yelled at her and said that he would tell the world about the truth. He addressed Hai-jin with her old name, Chu-woo. Hai-jin was mad when she heard that. She began to fire her gun at Gang Jae for several times until Gang Jae fell and died. Pil-do was shocked when he saw that. He couldn't believe that Hai-jin would shoot Gang Jae to death. In the car, Mu-jin writhed in pain because of his gunshot wounds. It seemed that he suffered from pretty serious injuries. When they reached the tunnel, Taji finally pulled over. After Mu-jin got out of the car, Tae-ju continued to drive the car and left the wounded Mu-jin there. Mu-jin then walked toward the hill by himself. He was struggling to head to that place because of his gunshot wounds. In the evening, Mu-jin finally arrived at a temple. A monk saw him and helped him. After Hai-jin killed Gang Jae, she was overwhelmed by her guilt. She had hallucination where she saw Gang Jae coming back to life and attacking her. She was frightened and traumatized by that vision. One night, she heard someone came to her house. She peeked through the window and found out that that person was Pil-do. Pil-do came to that place to bring some food to Hai-jin. Hai-jin took her to her room. She and Pil-do then had a conversation in that place. Pil-do remembered that Hai-jin told him that the reason why she joined the police force was because she wanted to capture someone. He asked her if Gang Jae was the person she wanted to capture. Hai-jin didn't answer his question. She couldn't tell him that she was looking for the person who had murdered her father, and she suspected that Ji-ho was the person she was looking for. She finally decided to tell Pil-do that Gang Jae once spiked her drink and tried to sexually harass her back then. Even though she didn't tell Pil-do about the truth, at least she didn't lie to him because the story was true after all. After Hai-jin fell asleep, Pil-do covered her body with a blanket and left that place. A few days later, Mu-jin finally woke up from his faint. Apparently, a monk had been taking care of him while he was lying unconscious in that place. Because of his help, Mu-jin began to recover. Turned out that monk was Mu-jin's old friend, and he knew what Mu-jin was doing. At the police station, Ji-ho ordered his team to find Mu-jin soon. He knew that Mu-jin was severely wounded when he ran away from them. She remembered that her father's name was Dong-hoon and not Jun-soo. Turned out, before Gang Jae died, he sent that letter to Hai-jin. Suddenly, Hai-jin received a call from Mu-jin. Mu-jin told her to come to a temple where he was staying at. In the evening, Hai-jin finally arrived at that temple. She wanted to talk about the package that Gang Jae sent to her with Mu-jin. She asked Mu-jin if it was true that her father was a police officer and his name was Jun-soo. Mu-jin was surprised when he heard that. He told Hai-jin that her father was a police officer and once infiltrated his organization for investigation. But after a while, Hai-jin's father finally decided to become a part of his organization. Unfortunately, he ended up getting murdered by another police officer who found out that he was working with Mu-jin and saw him as a traitor. Hai-jin didn't say anything when she heard the story. She had no idea whether Mu-jin told her about the truth or not. Apparently, Pildu had also arrived in that place. He came to that place to find Mu-jin. The monk greeted him and told him that there was no one in that place except himself. He explained that people rarely visited the temple, especially during winter like this. After Pildu heard that, he finally decided to leave that place. He then went to a restaurant and met with Ji-ho there. Ji-ho drank a lot that night. It seemed that he was having a lot on his mind. Because he was heavily drunk, Pildu helped him to take him home. At the same time, Hai-jin went to Ji-ho's apartment building. Suddenly, someone sneaked into Ji-ho's room, but it was not Hai-jin. That person was a man who was wearing a black hoodie. That mysterious man attacked Ji-ho by stabbing him in the stomach, but Ji-ho attacked him back by injuring his hand. Not long after that mysterious man left that place, Hai-jin arrived in that place. Hai-jin touched the door handle and got surprised when she found blood there. When she entered the room, Ji-ho immediately shot her in the hand. Ji-ho thought that the mysterious man who attacked him earlier was Hai-jin. Hai-jin took out her knife and pointed it at Ji-ho. She asked Ji-ho about what happened to her father when he got murdered. Ji-ho realized that Hai-jin was talking about Dong-hoon aka Jun-soo, and Hai-jin was his daughter, Ju-woo. Ji-ho didn't answer Hai-jin's question and told her that Mu-jin was a devil instead. After saying that, he suddenly started to cry. While Pildu was walking away, he heard a gunshot from the apartment building. He then decided to return to Ji-ho's room to check on Ji-ho. Hai-jin panicked when Pildu tried to open the door. She finally decided to leave that place by using the window before Pildu had the chance to enter that room and see her there. Before she ran away from that place, Ji-ho gave a bag to her. As soon as she returned to her car, she checked the bag there. Inside that bag, she found a report that was written by her father for the police. Back then, since Dong-hoon aka Jun-soo joined Mu-jin's organization, he became close with Mu-jin. Mu-jin had even thought of him as his best friend. But one day, Mu-jin saw a typewriter and found a police report inside. Because of that report, Mu-jin found out that Jun-soo was only pretending to join his organization. He was shocked when he knew about that fact. Hai-jin also found Jun-soo's funeral document inside the bag. According to that document, Ji-ho was the one who took care of Jun-soo's funeral. It meant that Jun-soo died as a police officer, not as a gangster from Mu-jin's organization. Hai-jin cried when she found out about that fact. She then drove her car and left that place. She couldn't stop crying as she was thinking about what Mu-jin had done to her. She couldn't believe that Mu-jin had been betraying and lying to her all this time. At first, she thought that Ji-ho had murdered her father and Mu-jin had saved her life. But turned out, Mu-jin was the one who had murdered her father. Hai-jin was angry when she realized about it. She couldn't believe that Mu-jin, the person whom she thought had saved her life, was the one who murdered her father. Suddenly, Hai-jin stopped driving and got out of his car. She threw up on the road and kept crying. She was overwhelmed by everything that she learned that night. She felt sick and stupid because she had believed in a wrong person. All this time, she had been training hard to find and kill the person who had murdered her father. She thought that her father's murderer was a police officer or Ji-ho, but it turned out to be Mu-jin. After Hai-jin calmed herself down, she went to the hospital to visit Ji-ho. Pildu told her that Ji-ho needed to stay in the hospital and have a surgery because of his wounds. Suddenly, Hai-jin saw blood coming out of her hand. She had just remembered that Ji-ho shot her in the hand earlier. and that blood came from the gunshot wound. In another place, Mu-jin received a call from Tae-ju. Tae-ju informed Mu-jin that he failed to kill Ji-ho. He also said that Hae-jin met with Ji-ho and she had found out about the truth. For that reason, he suggested that they killed Hae-jin soon. A few days later, at her apartment, Hae-jin was packing her bags. She took her father's urn with her, but when she opened the door, some men suddenly attacked her and drowned her in the bathtub. Hae-jin attacked them back and finally managed to free herself from them. After that, she began to attack those men. Turned out, Tae-ju was the one who sent those men to attack Hae-jin on the order of Mu-jin. Tae-ju went inside Hae-jin's apartment and found out that Hae-jin had defeated the men whom he sent to kill her. He was surprised and disappointed when he saw that. He thought that he should kill Hae-jin with his own hands. He began to attack Hae-jin, but Hae-jin attacked him back. Tae-jun and Hae-jin then got into a fight. They used knives to attack each other. Hae-jin managed to get the upper hand and severely injure her opponent. After a while, she finally managed to kill Tae-ju by stabbing him in the neck with her knife. While Pil-do and his coworkers were leaving the police station, they ran into Mu-jin. They were surprised when they saw him there. They couldn't believe that Mu-jin would show up in that place. They then canceled their plan to leave the police station and took Mu-jin to the interrogation room. In the interrogation room, Pil-do asked Mu-jin about Gang-jae's death. Pil-do said that the police found Mu-jin's knife at the crime scene where Gang-jae was found dead. He asked Mu-jin if he had murdered Gang-jae. Pil-do knew that Hae-jin was actually the one who murdered Gang-jae, but the police didn't have any evidence that she did it. They only found Mu-jin's knife at the crime scene. Mu-jin didn't answer Pil-do's question. Not long after that, a woman arrived at the police station and entered the interrogation room. That woman was Mu-jin's assistant, Kang Soo-yeon, who was also working as Mu-jin's legal advisor. Hae-jin had also arrived at the police station. She went to the interrogation room and asked Mu-jin about why he turned himself into the police. Mu-jin said that he came to that place to prove that he was not guilty. Hae-jin said that the police found his knife at the crime scene where Gang-jae was found dead. She told Mu-jin that they didn't need his confession because they had found the evidence that proved that he was the one who killed Gang-jae. She said that it was only about time until Mu-jin got arrested by the police. After saying that, she left the interrogation room and headed to another room. She entered the evidence room and found the knife that was used to stab Gang-jae. After she took that knife, she called Mu-jin and told him that she would destroy the evidence. Mu-jin was confused when he heard that. He didn't understand why Hae-jin wanted to release him from the prison. In another room, Pil-do and his coworker were investigating the CCTV footage near Ji-ho's apartment. In that CCTV footage, they noticed that there was a suspicious car getting parked nearby. They checked the car and found out that the car belonged to Hae-jin. In another CCTV footage, they saw Hae-jin leaving Ji-ho's apartment building not long after Ji-ho got attacked. Pil-do and his coworker were surprised when they saw that. They immediately got out of the room and looked for Hae-jin. They also made an announcement and ordered anyone to stop Hae-jin when they saw her. They needed to find Hae-jin soon because they thought that Hae-jin was the one who attacked Ji-ho at his apartment. When Pil-do got out of the building, he saw a motorcyclist leaving that place. He chased that motorcyclist as soon as he realized that it was Hae-jin. After a while, Mu-jin was finally allowed to leave the police station. Soo-yeon said that Mu-jin was not guilty because there was no evidence that he was the one who murdered Gang-jae. Pil-do was mad when he heard that. He didn't know that Hae-jin was the one who stole the evidence and planned to destroy it. He couldn't do anything but to let Mu-jin go. When Hae-jin arrived in a quiet area, she pulled over and threw the evidence into the sea. After that, she continued to drive and left that place. Mu-jin returned to his headquarters and saw Tae-ju lying dead there. He finally realized that Hae-jin didn't destroy the evidence to save him. He now knew that Hae-jin didn't want him to get sent to the prison because she wanted to kill him with her own hands. Pil-do and his coworkers went to Hae-jin's apartment. When they arrived in that place, they found out that that place had been trashed. Pil-do suddenly remembered about the time when he visited that place for the first time. He remembered that Hai-jin kept her father's urn in that place. He then went to the cemetery to see if Hai-jin was there. Turned out he was right. When he arrived in that place, he saw Hai-jin visiting her parents' graves. Hai-jin visited that place to take a moment for herself. She was overwhelmed by everything that happened to her. She admitted that she felt hurt and destroyed by it, but she knew that she couldn't stay that way. She knew that she needed to take revenge for the death of her father by killing Mu-jin soon. After a while, she finally left the cemetery and drove her motorcycle. When she was leaving that place, she ran into Pil-do. She was surprised when she saw him there. She quickly changed her direction and drove fast. Pil-do saw her and chased her right away. Hai-jin went off-road and tried to drive through the rice field. But unfortunately, she lost her balance and fell off her motorcycle. Pil-do chased her right away when he saw that. Hai-jin tried to run away from him, but Pil-do fired his gun and warned her. Hai-jin stopped running as she realized that she had been caught. She finally turned around and raised her hands. Pil-do then took out his handcuff and put it around Hai-jin's wrists. After that, he took Hai-jin to the police station. When Pil-do and Hai-jin arrived at the police station, other police officers tried to attack Hai-jin. They were mad at Hai-jin because they thought that she was the one who attacked Ji-ho. Even though Hai-jin didn't do it, she didn't say anything to defend herself. Pil-do then took Hai-jin to her cell. Before Pil-do left that place, Hai-jin asked him if he would believe her if she said that she was not the one who attacked Ji-ho. Pil-do coldly said that he wouldn't believe it. In another place, Mu-jin received information that Hai-jin got arrested by the police. He then ordered Su-yan to release Hai-jin from the prison, no matter what happened. He said that he wanted to face Hai-jin by himself. Later, Su-yan went to the police station to visit Hai-jin. She told Hai-jin about what Mu-jin said to her earlier. After she left the interrogation room, she approached Pil-do and told him that Hai-jin was wounded. For that reason, she asked him to send Hai-jin to the hospital. At first, Pil-do was not sure about it, but after he considered Hai-jin's wounds that she got because of the incident that happened at Ji-ho's apartment and her attempt to run away from him another day, he finally agreed to send Hai-jin to the hospital. He also sent some police officers to go with her to the hospital. In another place, Mu-jin received a call from Su-yan. Su-yan informed him that Hai-jin was being taken to the hospital. After Mu-jin hanged up the call, he ordered his subordinates to move. At the hospital, Hai-jin was receiving treatment for her wounds. Suddenly, Pil-do received a call from Ji-ho. Turned out, Ji-ho had regained his consciousness. Pil-do then went to Ji-ho's room to see him. While Hai-jin was receiving treatment from a nurse, she saw another nurse in that place. She remembered that that nurse was the woman whom she saved when she almost died due to overdose back then. Pil-do arrived in Ji-ho's room, and Ji-ho began to tell him everything about Hai-jin. Ji-ho said that Hai-jin was actually Ju-woo, the daughter of Jun-soo, the police officer who got murdered by Mu-jin. Hai-jin saw the nurse talking to someone on the phone and used that moment to uncuff herself. Suddenly, the woman whom Hai-jin saved back then approached her and gave a car key to her. She said that the car was at the parking space in the basement and told Hai-jin to leave soon. While Hai-jin was leaving that room, some police officers suddenly came to that place and stopped her. Hai-jin attacked them and finally managed to defeat them. After that, she disguised herself as a doctor and went to the basement. Pil-do received a call from his coworker. His coworker informed him that Hai-jin had run away from that place. Pil-do was surprised when he heard that and chased her right away. In the basement, after looking for a while, Hai-jin finally managed to find the car and get inside it. But when she tried to leave that place, Pil-do suddenly showed up and stopped her. He knew that Hai-jin was going to kill Mu-jin, and he needed to stop her from doing it. He handcuffed his hand and Hai-jin's hand so that Hai-jin wouldn't run away from him. Hai-jin told him that she had sacrificed her future to capture the person who had murdered her father. But instead of finding and killing him, she was manipulated and lied to, and now she had become a murderer. Now the only thing that she needed to do was to end it all. Suddenly, Mu-jin's men came to that place and attacked Hai-jin and Pil-do. Jin and Pildu were struggling to attack them back because they got handcuffed. Because of that, they finally decided to get inside the car and leave that place. They drove around the town until the night fell. When they arrived at a beach, Pildu finally stopped driving. They visited the hotel that was owned by Pildu's friend. In that hotel, Pildu helped Jin to treat her wounds. He told Jin that since his brother got murdered, he always carried a knife with him everywhere he went. He thought that it would be easy for him to kill his brother's murderer if he had a knife with him. But he finally realized that it only hurt him and destroyed him in the end. He told that story to Jin because he didn't want Jin to destroy herself like how he destroyed himself. In his room, Jin was thinking about his friendship with Donghoon aka Junsu. He still felt hurt and betrayed by Junsu after everything that they had been through together. He still remembered about the time when he found out that Junsu had been secretly informing the police about him and his organization. That night, he went to Junsu's apartment building and shot Junsu to death. He also still remembered about how Jiwoo screamed when she heard the gunshot. Jin was disappointed at Junsu for betraying him when he already thought of him as his best friend. Now, after everything that had happened between them, Junsu's daughter, Jiwoo aka Jin, would come for him to take revenge on him for the death of her father. There was nothing that he could do about it but to face Jin by himself. Jin then took a gun from his safe and looked for Jin. The next morning, Jin and Pildu headed to the police station. When they almost arrived in that place, a motorcyclist suddenly stopped driving and pointed his gun at their car. In a few seconds, that motorcyclist shot Pildu in the head. Pildu died instantly because of that. Jin was shocked when she saw that and didn't know about what to do. But after a while, she finally managed to get out of the car and leave that place. In anger, she took out of her gun and went to Jin's headquarters. When she arrived in that place, Jin's subordinates stopped her and attacked her right away. Jin attacked them back and finally managed to run away from them. In the elevator, she emptied her gun and only left a bullet there. She planned to use that one bullet to kill Jin. When she was about to enter Jin's room, Jin's bodyguard stopped her and attacked her. Jin was struggling to attack him back because he was also good at fighting. She finally decided to use her gun and her last one bullet, which she had prepared for Jin, to attack that man. After that, she finally went to Jin's room. When she arrived in that place, she saw Jin already waiting for her with his gun. But when Jin saw her there, he put his gun on the desk. Jin saw the picture of Jin and her father on the floor. She was mad at the thought that her father was close with someone like Jin. So she picked the picture up and tore it up. Then she tied a knife to her hand to make sure that she wouldn't lose it during the fight. It seemed that she had made up her mind to kill Jin. Jin and Jin then began to have a fight. Jin was struggling to attack Jin because of the wounds that she got from the previous fights. Jin hurt Jin with his knife for several times. He even managed to stab her in the stomach, which left a severe wound for her. Jin continued to beat Jin up and leave more wounds all over her body. At one point, Jin was even struggling to just stand up that she needed to hold Jin's leg to do it. When Jin tried to kill her with his knife, Jin suddenly grabbed his hand and directed it to his stomach. Because of that, Jin stabbed himself in the stomach. While covering his wound with his hand, he got up and reached Jin's gun. He pointed the gun at Jin and pulled the trigger, but nothing happened because there was no bullet inside that gun. Jin used that situation to attack Jin by stabbing him in the chest. Jin seemed horrified when Jin did that. Not long after that, he finally died. With that being done, Jin finally managed to take revenge for the death of her father. After she killed Jin, she finally left that place. While she was walking home, she fell down for several times, but she got up again and tried her best to stay awake. Time had finally passed. Jin had recovered and seemed in a much better condition. That afternoon, she went to the cemetery to visit her parents' grave. She also visited the grave of Pildu, the only friend who understood her. She still felt sad about Pildu's death and regretted that she couldn't save him back then. After that, she left the cemetery and prepared herself to start her new journey.